We're not gonna characterize every airstrike. We're not gonna speak for Israeli military operations. The president was reflecting a concern that we have had for some time.
That's National Security Council spokesman John Kirby defending President Biden's criticisms of the Israeli campaign in Gaza. And just in the past few minutes, the Biden administration put a major shot across Israel's bow. Barak Ravid of Axios reports the U.S. is delaying the sale of M16 rifles to Israel over violence by Jews against Palestinians in the West Bank. Israel, in the first week of the war, quoting Axios, requested the rifles for civilian initial response teams in Israeli villages close to the borders with Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. Local residents receive weapons and training from the Israeli police in order to be first responders in case of another terrorist attack. Israel feels an urgent need for these rifles. The administration reportedly wrote the decision to delay this off to violence by Jewish settlers against Palestinians in the West Bank. But the message, wherever they say the reason is, the message is unmistakable and undeniable. The message from the United States to Israel: do what we, the Biden administration, tell you to do, or America will stop supporting you. Speaking of American direction, the president recently accused Israel of indiscriminate bombing, also known as war crimes. He went on to say if Israel doesn't change course, they will lose international support. President Biden is tightening the leash on the Israelis day by day. This, of course, only plays into the hands of Hamas, but there's a ground truth here. The tighter the timeline puts on Israel, the more aggressive it will become. And expect the president to keep tightening the leash, especially as calls for a ceasefire get louder here at home. The vice president now faced hecklers at her own house.
Did you know that in Bethlehem, baby Jesus found a rebel? Why did you post the ceasefire?
Ellie Cohanim is here, a former State Department official, U.S. Deputy Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism. It's good to see you. Thank you. We'll put aside for the second that there's no rubble in Bethlehem right now, but never let facts get in the way of somebody being outraged. I think it was interesting from Benjamin Netanyahu. I say this in the face of great pain, but also in the face of international pressure. Nothing will stop us. We will go to the end, to the victory, no less than that. Do you read, as somebody who used to work in the U.S. government, the withholding of these M16s as such a big deal as I do?
Leland, I was in Israel just last week. I went on a fact-finding mission. And the notion of this moral equivalency that the Biden administration seems to be making by withholding the sales of M16s for Israeli civilians to be able to defend themselves against the kinds of atrocities which we saw committed by Hamas and by some Gaza civilians on October 7th. It is just reprehensible that the Biden administration is taking this step right now. And I want to tell you, when I was on the ground, I went to visit the kibbutz community of Kfar Aza. The devastation I saw there is just not to believe. I was in homes where I saw the evidence of where people were burned alive. Again, the massacres there are just hard for us to wrap our brains around, the atrocities committed, and it's just reprehensible that the Biden administration would do this.
We reported extensively on what happened. I'm wondering, looking forward, how Israel plays this, right? Because they've continued to walk a pretty fine line, at the same time doing what they want and doing what they need to do and say they need to do. How do you read the Israeli reaction to this continual but steady pressure and increasing pressure for them to change their tactics?
There is one thing I can tell you that I noticed when I was in Israel, which is complete unity among the Israeli people and among the Israeli government. They know that they must rid this world of Hamas. Otherwise, Hamas officials have told us themselves that they're just going to repeat the atrocities of October 7th over and over again. So what I can tell you is that I would expect Prime Minister Netanyahu and the IDF senior brass to just push back against the Biden administration. They know what the task is at hand. And the reality is that the American people support Israel, whether Joe Biden does or not.
Well, I would say that a certain group of the American people support Israel. There seems to be a large part that does not, 50% of people under the age of 24. So there is that. Ellie, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.